The Edmonton Oilers, 109 points last year, second in the Pacific. They were sixth overall in the league. I think right now, same mission, man. The time is now at Edmonton. Their Stanley Cup odds at 10-1. They lost to Vegas last year. They've lost the last 2 years to the eventual Stanley Cup champions. But the number I wrote on this sheet, guys, 2024. I can't read. 2026. That's McDavid's contract is up. I think people are going to start wondering about this, man, because if they don't win, they don't have the great goaltender right now. The team is not a perfect team to win a Stanley Cup. Whit, you're the ex-Oiler. What's your take on him, man?
Stanley Cup champions. And people may think I'm crazy. Juice said it. That Vegas Edmonton second round series was the Stanley Cup right there. And they were close. Now, they didn't even get to game 7, so were they that close? No, but it was 2-2 heading into game 5, and Adin Hill put on a performance for the ages in game 5 and game 6, and if he didn't and Edmonton squeaked away, they're winning the Stanley Cup. But this team is so driven. They have one of the greatest players to ever play hockey. Leon also is a top 4 player in the NHL or the world. It is depth, and Connor Brown is an enormous signing, right? And you look at Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman, people say, oh, there could be a dip back. Nope. He's got the speed. He has the ability to play with McDavid or Draisaitl. They have so many weapons that I just think with what McDavid and how driven he is and how much time that him and Leon spent together this summer, how early they've already been skating together. It's Stanley Cup or bust in that city with that team. And I also think Skinner had a solid year, right? And Campbell had one good month, but I think Campbell's going to come back and have a good season. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking that, but that first year in Edmonton, it's tough. You know, the guy obviously wasn't comfortable. He did not have the best season. He's going to be better. Skinner's also going to be better because that competition between them two, same way in Calgary, how they got the prospect coming up, that's a good thing. They're trying to become the number one. That battle in practice is something that you need. That's something that's good for a team. But Connor Brown reminds me a lot of Hyman, and to bring him in, short money, a lot of bonuses available for him, but it's you have to have these heartbreaking losses. Every Stanley Cup champion's been through a time that you're just you feel so close and you can't get there, and it makes you even hungrier. Evan Bouchard, what a player he is. I mean, let's be honest. The power play is the greatest power play to ever be in the league, and nothing's going to slow them down. Let alone the fact that they get so many power plays because of their speed. Nugent Hopkins, I don't know if Nugent Hopkins has the same season point-wise, but still, both ends of the ice, so reliable. Jan Mark's there for the entire season. I like his game.
Yeah.
There's a different feeling there, and I just think a guy like McDavid, he's that good. He is that good to lead this team. And what he did last year, insanely enough, I think there's more there. It sounds crazy. He's in the prime. He knows exactly what he wants. He knows how to get it done. They've had these bitter losses. Western Conference Final, followed by the second round. They have everything there to win the Stanley Cup, and they are my pick. And I'm not saying it as a homer. I truly think that the way everything's aligning and how much pain there's been and how much growth there's been with the prospects, you look at a guy like Holloway, he's going to get a chance. They brought that Lane Peterson in. He's fourth-line player. There's more depth there this year. There's more guys fighting for roster spots, the competition within, and I truly think they're going to win the division and win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And they didn't lose one member of that core group, which is important, right? They got a lot of guys filling in now.
Kane's healthy.
Kane's healthy. You mentioned the goaltending duo. If they share the net and they both have a successful season, I think that they're definitely going to win the division. They got Ekholm back, which is huge, right? That was a big trade for them. Not only did he prove that with his play when he got there, but getting him that last year on his deal. And then Darnell Nurse wasn't healthy. People need to lay the fuck off him. I think he's going to have an awesome bounce back year. I know he wasn't great in playoffs, and it came out that he was injured. So I like their duo in net. I think Skinner gets a year more mature, and I think he eventually becomes the starter full time. The biggest question mark I have is how are they going to adjust to the things that have hurt them when it comes down to playoff time? And it's not sustainable to be playing Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid 25 minutes. They need to get contributions all season long where they can rely on that bottom six offensively to where they're not having to fucking play the ace of spades come the third period to muster out wins all the time. They need to get those guys as fresh as possible going into playoffs to where come playoff time, if they do need some games where they need to play that 22, 23 minutes, that is sustainable. But do you agree with me, Whit, where they can't keep relying on those two guys to play 25 minutes? When you get to the playoffs, these teams are too deep, too good defensively, too structured to have to rely on these players.
Yeah, I do. And that's why like a guy like Ryan McLeod, who is so fast and dangerous when he gets his speed going and he's involved in the game, we're gonna need a step up from him. We're gonna need Holloway to get a chance and obviously become accustomed to the NHL and have a big season. I know what you're saying, and like, yeah, they can't be playing 25 minutes and go all the way to the finals. If they do, if anyone could, it's probably them too, but still, it's not a recipe for success. But I just think you're going to see step-ups from guys that just get that extra year in the league. And I do expect a lot from Ryan McLeod. I think Warren Fogle can be better than he was last year, and at times he looked great. Maybe some nights he disappears. But in terms of Nurse on the back end, it's like when I'm talking to Oilers fans, it's almost like and it's hard to do. And part of being a fan is looking at what guys get paid and what you expect. And you almost just have to look at him and kind of forget what he's being paid. Is he overpaid? No doubt. He got the deal he got, right? In the end, they probably wouldn't have done that, but they also wanted to keep him and had to keep him. So I don't really know what else they could have done. But if you don't look at him being a $9 million a year defenseman, you could see him, and he makes an impact. Not only does he make an impact on the ice, but in the room, guys love him. He's tough as nails. You love that on the back end. He skates like the wind. You love that. He's good defensively. Yes, he's never going to be a $9 million a year player, but if you don't look at him and his salary attached to him, it's a lot easier to kind of respect and understand what he brings to that team. Now, the playoffs, he did struggle, and I was somebody that was all over him. The King series wasn't great, but he still is. He's a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, right? So it's like, as long as he continues to evolve, and he's still pretty young, he still can improve on his game. He's never going to be a 50, 60-point guy. So I think Oilers fans are always going to be disappointed at the lack of offense and things like that, but he's an important member of the team. He's wearing a letter on his jersey for a reason. So I also love Kulak. Okay, the way he skates, that's a great bottom pair defenseman. Desharnais had moments in the playoffs. He looked a little overwhelmed, but it's another year in the league. So the team, put it this way, they looked great last year and they're better this year. So it's a very.
I would say the only significant loss just going back to playoffs was losing Costin. I thought that he was a big force. He was physical, but I think that they found guys who can step in his spot and replace him on the bottom 6. Overall, I think we all think that they're making playoffs. I think they do have a chance to win the division, but hey, with Vegas in the mix in LA, you never know. But the biggest thing for me is they need to find a way to spread out that ice time and be fresh going into playoffs if they're going to have a chicken dicks chance.
The only thing, the ice time is a little misleading because they are playing minute 45 on the power play. And I like that, and I want that. So sometimes, like, you see 23 minutes, and you'll see they had 6 power plays, and they pretty much played all of them. But I know what you're saying, and I do agree. They need more scoring from their bottom 6. But if they can get that, they're the best team in the league.
Merles?
Yeah, you want us to remember him as not as a $9 million player, but that means the coach has got to do it too. Like Nurse, he doesn't need to be playing 20 minutes. Move him down, let him focus on the 12, 15 minutes.
Are you out of your mind?
You got Ekholm. The Ekholm comes there.
12
Kenny
to
Holland,
15.
Kenny Holland reads my blog to trade for Ekholm. They go 18-2-1. That's a D-man. They need a D-man. They got Bouchard for the power play. They got Ekholm for the shutdown in the PK.
How many defensemen you think they're playing? 8 guys?
I got this other guy, Whit, you might know about him, Philip Broberg, first rounder. He should make a huge jump up,
and
low cap
apparently
hit.
He looks phenomenal.
Darnell Nurse, he should be playing 18 to 20 minutes a night.
16 to 18.
Are you guys fucking high?
What does he do out there? Why do you want him out there so long?
20 minutes a night's a lot, bro.
Focus on the 15.
You just said he's a top 4 defenseman on any team. I would say that's between 18 and 20 minutes. I'm not just trying to argue to the sake of arguing, but if you're going to pay a guy $9 million and you got him playing between 15 and 12, Come on now.
That's
Come
what you
on.
got to do if you want to win.
Oh, yeah.
Guy's a liability out there half the time
No,
he's out
he was
there.
because he was playing with a fucking one groin last playoff.
Don't limit
Yeah, he
his
was
minutes.
playing
He won't
injured.
be as hurt.
I think he's an 18-minute guy. And you have to be playing that.
If Broberg comes on the scene and he's like moving the puck as well as people say he can and skating the way he can, like then we're talking about possibly Nurse playing 15 to 16 minutes.
If fucking Darnell Nurse is listening to this, he's going to drive off the road playing 12 to 15 minutes, you guys. Come on. Come on.
I mean, he. It
On a
depends on
happier
how he
note-
plays. If he's playing good, play him 20 minutes a game. I think Merles is more than anything saying if he's not playing good, don't just keep throwing him out there because he's making $9 million.
Exactly.
All
And
right.
on a happier note, Oilers, I got you to win the President's Trophy, plus 800, Whit.
There we go.
There you go.
This team is so good. They're so good. And now, granted, they're two players. Okay, well, they happen to be two of the greatest players I've ever seen.
Yeah, what they do have the two of the best players in the world, but they've been squandering these opportunities. You look at the save percentage last year from the goaltenders: 6-6, 3.26 goals against, 8.94 save percentage. No matter who they start, that has to be better. Also, outscored 25 to 30. I'm sorry, 25 to 30. They outscored at even strength in the playoffs. That has to improve as well. But they're
25
gonna be
to
the first.
30?
Yeah, they outscored. Yeah, they
30
scored
to 25.
Well, I know. Right. Well, I sound like a European reading it that way. Either
He
way,
must have had those written down next to the BioSteel notes.